delighted to introduce Sarah Lillywhite from IBM, who's going to talk a little bit more actually about responsible AI. Sarah, over to you.
Thank you, Sanjay, and thank you, Jamie. Certainly trying to fit all of that content into a short period of time is exceptionally difficult. It's a big area. I'm going to talk for the next kind of 10 minutes or so with my colleague, Ben Arnold. What we wanted to do was really have a look at taking some of those points that Jamie has made and really look at how you start with AI. So what would our considerations be? So just to introduce myself, my name is Sarah Lillywhite. I work in the technology part of IBM on the NHS account. So I have the best job in the world. Let me just say that up front. We report into our CEO, and the NHS is one of our kind of strategic accounts from that perspective. When we talk about IBM, I naturally assume that everybody knows about IBM, but we are, just to give a kind of a brief overview, we're 112 years old. We've been through our own changes as we've adapted to customer need and changes from our clients over the last 112 years. And we started as a tabulating organization. We then moved into more of an infrastructure organization, and now we're very much known as for a hybrid cloud and data and AI. And actually we've just been nominated a major player in the generative AI market by Gartner. So our change continues and develops as we evolve. Lots of customers, including the NHS, but lots across, from Fortune 500 organizations through to smaller startups that are building on IBM technology. Our relationship with the NHS goes back almost to the NHS's inception. We run the NHS payroll system. We have just won the NHS app piece of work, and we are the technology delivery partner for Genomics and the Centre of Excellence Hybrid Cloud and strategic security partner for cyber. What's the most exciting thing is, though, we've actually get to do lots of projects working with the NHS to take some of the problems and challenges that they see, and the Healthier Together project was one of those. So bringing problems alive using our client engineering facility. So Jamie's kindly taken us through that complexity that sits with AI. We weren't planning on going into any more depth on AI. We are happy to, and we could probably spend the whole day talking about AI on its own. But we wanted to just do a little bit of a question and answer session between Ben and myself on how we can use the next few minutes to look at how we can practically operationalize AI, bring real changes to the NHS. I'm going to hand over to my colleague Ben to introduce himself, and then I'm going to ask him the first question. And we're just going to run through 3 or 4 questions, which hopefully will give you some insight as to where we would start. Ben, are you there?
So thank you, Sarah, and good morning all. I'm Ben Arnold. I'm the data and AI lead within IBM Technology, and I've been working with the NHS for about 3.5 years now on a number of different data and AI projects.
Brilliant. So Ben, there's lots of things we could ask, there's lots of places to start, but where do you think is the starting point for AI?
So I'd start by saying I think everyone wants to get started with AI right now. I think ChatGPT has certainly elevated AI onto everyone's agenda. But before you start thinking about AI, you should actually start thinking about outcomes. And what are you actually trying to achieve with AI? And this might be freeing up time for clinicians, or taking costs out of the NHS, or improving patient experience. But AI is just the tool that enables you to achieve these outcomes. And then once you determined what these business outcomes are, you should start thinking about your data. So the foundation for any AI project is good quality data. So before the NHS or any organization starts thinking about where it can apply AI, they should be focusing on their data quality. Do they have good data quality, and do they have sufficient amounts of good quality data? I think preparing data for AI is probably the most important part. It's probably the most time consuming part, and definitely not the most exciting part of an AI journey. And then once you've done that, you can start to think about how you implement trustworthy, ethical AI.
So we've talked a lot about trustworthy AI, particularly within IBM, but what does it actually mean, Ben?
Yes, good question. And I know Jamie touched on it as well. But there are 5 pillars of trustworthy AI: fairness, transparency, privacy, robustness, and explainability. And for an AI model to be deemed trustworthy, it needs to have all 5. So firstly, fairness. This is about ensuring your AI system is not biased in any way. You want to make sure that it doesn't discriminate against any group. And so to do this, you need to ensure that the data you train your AI on is fair. Earlier, I mentioned about having sufficient amounts of good quality data. So it needs to be a large enough data set to not have any societal bias within it. I know Jamie touched on that point as well. And the next pillar is transparency. So AI systems should be transparent in how they've been designed, developed, and trained. And then you have privacy. So an AI system needs to be able to prioritize and safeguard consumers' data. Now, this is important in any industry, but I'd say even more so in the NHS, where so much of the data that you'll be working with is patient-sensitive data. Then we have robustness, which is all about an AI system's ability to effectively handle different and changing environments, such as an abnormality in input. And finally, explainability. So an AI model should be able to explain why it's come to a certain conclusion or prediction. If a model forecasting hospital admissions is predicting a spike next Thursday, a good model will enable people to understand why is it predicting that spike. Now, I can't speak for other vendors, but at IBM, we take these pillars very seriously. And we've got an AI ethics committee to monitor these and to monitor the ever-changing regulations that are coming from different industries and different geographies. I think when choosing an AI partner, it's important to choose one whose values align with your own.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think is the greatest opportunity for the AI in the NHS? It's a big question, but maybe you could give us a few tips.
It's a big question. I think there's loads of potential for AI within the NHS, but actually where it can bring a lot of value quickly is with the operational tasks: workforce planning, HR, resource optimization. This is where the NHS can free up a lot of time for their staff, helping to reduce friction, and it can do so in a cost-effective way. So operational tasks are not the most exciting, but I think they are the best place to start. I think they're the low-hanging fruit. You also then don't have to consider any clinical risk. And through using AI for these sort of use cases, you start to build people's trust in AI. I think there's a bit of a lack of trust in AI, a bit of nervousness that the AI is going to replace humans. And I think it's also worth stating that IBM think AI works best when it's augmenting a human, complementing that human, and certainly not replacing them. IBM also started our own AI journey in the back office with our HR function. So the first port of call for all the high volume, low complexity HR tasks at IBM is through an AI-powered virtual assistant. So things like booking annual leave and resetting your passwords. And what this does is it frees up the HR staff's time to focus on the more complicated tasks. And one organisation that I've been working with, Eastern North Herts NHS Trust, they also started their AI journey within the HR function. So I've been working with them for about a year now, helping them to implement an AI-powered HR virtual assistant. And that's become the first port of call for all their HR-related inquiries. And we've freed up over 3,000 hours of time in the first 6 months. So in turn, this then leads to more time that can be spent for patient-facing tasks. And then I'd also add that I think the NHS is in a very unique position because there's over 200 different trusts. And although they've each got unique challenges, they do also have lots of common challenges. So they should look to help each other here by sharing best practice, by sharing what they're doing with AI and where they've had success.
Great. I think, thanks, Ben. I think technology companies have a lot of a role to play here. What should IBM and others be doing to help the NHS on their AI journey?
Well, I think that IBM's ways of working actually lend themselves well to the NHS or to organizations that are experimenting or getting started with AI. So IBM have got a team of over 2,000 data scientists, developers, and AI engineers, which is known as client engineering. And this client engineering team, they always start with the business problem, whether that be predicting the number of people who come into emergency departments or just reducing the administrative burden on staff. And then they work alongside the NHS or other clients to jointly create pilots or proofs of concept to prove the value of AI and technology and how technology can be applied to solve these business problems, or prove where AI can't solve the business problems. But importantly, when they do fail, they fail fast, so not to waste any time and to move on to the next project. And this is a team that IBM have invested in, so there's no financial cost to the NHS of using this team. And one example from here was a trust that came to IBM with a problem. They had too many do not attends at their hospital. So do not attend is where patients booked in for an appointment, but they don't show up. And this was costing that trust a lot of money. I think it was over £100 per do not attend. And IBM's client engineering team worked with them to firstly better understand that patient journey, the patient's pain points, and then identify where technology could help them. And in this case, it was around creating new ways for them to cancel or amend their appointments. And I think using AI to improve patient experience is becoming more and more common. I know later that you're going to hear from Francois, who's within the client engineering team. He's going to be speaking about some of the work he's done with Frank Design, looking at reducing admissions to emergency departments by giving patients confidence and access to more information.
Brilliant. Thank you, Ben. I think we're probably out of our questions now. It's obviously a tremendously large area that we've tried to get information through on where we would start if we were somebody within the NHS. My takeaways are find a partner that has the same values as you, get your data ready, and just start to try and embrace that technology. Very happy to have a further conversation if anyone would like to, on AI. I'm sure, Ben, you would be happy to offer that too. But back to you, Sanjay.